Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today we're getting messages from the Archangels. I haven't done this for a while. I love connecting in with the Archangel energy and anything the Archangels have to say to us. And you don't have to necessarily believe in them in exactly the way that they're presented or through kind of Judeo-Christian sort of interpretations. It's whatever sort of works for you, but it's sort of like very high order consciousness for us from the divine in various areas of our lives and so forth, I guess is how to think about it if you think about it differently. I personally do believe in archangels and I like them, I love them, I think they're great, but that's up to you. The point of the thing is to channel the messages that you need to know on that kind of level. So what I did in terms of the intent and the structure of the reading is that I thought we'd call on two archangels. The first two have come up in shuffling and then randomly choosing to, through the shuffling, the top card, whatever that was, would be the first of the two archangels, and that's represented here, as you can see. There's a second one under there. I don't know what that is yet, but as I say, in the intent, it's two archangels with two different areas of life to talk about and bring you messages on. We'll see what those are at a high level, and then we will drill into it in a bit more detail with tarot and other oracle cards. So you're, of course, able to go to more than one reading if you want, because there could be more than two archangels that want to talk to you. So that's perfectly fine, whatever you feel. But as I say, potentially to help you choose your pile, if you really just want to go to one, is the cards here. So, and it is telling you which one of the two archangels. So for pile number one, we have Metatron. For pile number two, we have Azariel, and for pile number three, we have Tahariel. So three different, you may have come across them in other readings, or you may know of their archangel energy. Metatron's pretty well known, so I think a lot of you will know that. These may be a little bit lesser, but nevertheless, if you know your archangel canon, you'll know who they are. But it doesn't really matter. It's just whatever you're drawn to, whatever you feel the connection with. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I will see you there. Actually, before I do it, just as a little additional thing, depending upon when I publish this and what is going on, with private readings, I've put up notes on my about page on YouTube. I've put it up on all the stuff with Etsy. There's some uncertainty around the sort of thing that happens with video tarot readings and how they fit in with requirements with new sort of health and safety regulations in the European Union. It's called the GPSR. So until that's sorted out, I can't offer readings to people who are in the European Union or in Northern Ireland. I'm really sorry about that. It may be if you see this sometime later, or if this publishes a bit after it's resolved, and I know what I need to do to be able to do so, but at the moment I can't, so I do apologise for that. But anybody else who wants a reading, go to my Etsy store. It's the only way that you can get a reading from me. I'll never solicit it. I'll never, never come to you and say, do you want a reading? So if anybody saying they're me is doing that, it's not me. I'm not aware of it happening, but it could be happening. So just as a general thing, just as a aside. And with that, I will see you in your reading. Welcome, pile one, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Metatron, and the other archangel is Zadkiel. So this is a pretty strong set of messages, I would say, about almost the narrative and the purpose of your life and what you need to alchemize and heal and transmute to be able to really pursue it, because that's kind of what Metatron and Zadkiel represent. Metatron was one of the only archangels who was originally a human, who then ascended, I guess, to become the archangel that is connected to Keter in the Kabbalah. So the archangel sort of closest to the divine on that level, and known as the divine scribe. So I always sort of picture him as sort of someone who is connected to in a sense, the divine intelligence, and is kind of looking at the narrative and the timelines and all that kind of thing. So he's that kind of energy. And then with Zadkiel, he's represented in this deck here with Saint Germain, who was an alchemist. So there's a lot about the kind of sense of alchemy with Zadkiel. It is that sense of taking anything that is difficult, needs to be transmuted or changed, and alchemizing it for your higher good. So there's a lot here about pursuing your higher self. And what I would also say is that this could be, I'm not saying it's definitely about it because we'll see what the area is and what the advice is, but I do actually feel like this might be about unblocking any connection with the divine, because between the sort of transmutation, alchemizing type of energy of Zadkiel, and then Metatron, who, if you connect with him, you can ask him to open and free your crown and upper chakras. I think there's something here about connecting. It is meant to be across two aspects of life, so it may be how it manifests in two aspects of life. But I think this would be connecting to the divine for your divine narrative. What's your ideal timeline? What are you really meant to do? And then Zadkiel would be, what do you need to transmute or alchemize to be able to do it, and in what areas of life? So in terms of what areas of life, I thought I would use the Akashic Truth Oracle, because it, quite helpfully has 6 key areas of life as one set of cards, and then the rest has some advice. So, and I didn't put it under here because I don't know from reading to reading whether similar areas are going to be necessary. So I'm just going to shuffle twice to get the areas that Metatron and Zadkiel are looking at. And then I'll shuffle the main deck to see a high-level message in relation to each of those areas. Then we'll have a look at what is going on with Tarot. So Metatron, what area of life is he particularly interested in? Bringing you ancient wisdom, connecting to your divine source, connecting to your divine narrative. Money and investments. Oh, that's interesting. Might be, how are you manifesting in the world, and how are you meant to grow in the world. And what about Zadkiel? What area is he transmuting? Career and business. Okay, this is going to be an interesting reading, Pawan, because you've got two very spiritual, very alchemical, very upper consciousness archangels, but they want to talk to you about some very core 3D matters here, about what connecting to your life purpose, around your career, around business, around money. And it may be that you have blocks. You could have a block. Like, before I look at even the advice, it's not uncommon. I've come across this quite a bit in the spiritual community, where there's almost an inverse knobbery that says, money, career, all those sort of things are 3D things and they're lower. I've even had people commenting saying, like, you're not higher consciousness because you're talking about career. And like, fine, everybody to their beliefs is, everybody has a right to their beliefs. But I personally think we're here for a reason, and that how we operate with this, there can be very big things around operating with honor and aligned with our spiritual principles, with how we use money, with what we do in our career. So I think, and if we apply principles of honor and kindness and generosity and openness to those, then we can only be helping the overall consciousness, like on a spiritual level as well as material. That's a personal view. I think that Metatron and Zadkiel in this would agree with me, because I think they want to talk to you in that area. So that's really interesting. And if you were looking for other stuff, I mean, you're getting very high order stuff, like they're very high order archangels, but on another level, if you're looking for other sort of things as well too, then you may find that in other readings. So you can sort of choose and maybe see more than one pile if that's an issue for you. But for some of you, you might go, yeah, actually, I can absolutely see why that would be the case. So I'm just going to get high order advice, part their message around these for you first before we look with the tarot. So around the life area of money and investments, what's the high level message that Metatron wants to bring you? Remembering that he is about being the scribe of your life, the narrative of your life, the timeline of your life. Speak your truth. Yeah, because the narrator tells the story, do they not? So it says, you've stayed silent long enough. Speak up, stand your ground, and state your perspectives. You will raise to a higher vibration when you let your voice be heard. So there's something here. Now, whether that's you need to kind of like speak truth about an investment or about money or about how you're dealing with it and what is your right to do and the choices around that. You could be someone who actually knows something in some material level, and there's a whistleblower type of thing. I always be careful around being a whistleblower, obviously. Get good advice about the implications of that. But possibly you're being called to at least consider that, or some ways to let the truth be seen if you're in a situation like that. But beyond all of that, there is sort of something here about being really clear about money, investments, and how it's used with your truth and your higher consciousness and the narrative of your life. And I wouldn't be surprised with some of you, and it'll be interesting to see when we look at the tarot, is whether this has to do with particularly people who have maybe combined combine sort of financial things like with business partners or with a marriage partner or something like that, where you have to kind of come out and say, this is how I think we need to invest our money. This is how we need to grow. So there's something in that space. Then for Zadkiel, what is the high level message around career and business, which is like could very much connect. Consider the options. You've narrowed your focus to one desired outcome and you might be missing a bigger opportunity. Open up and let the universe send you the highest possible result. So there may be a number of ways in career or business to do what you're trying to do. There may be a number of ways to sort this out. These two could be quite connected because they're very connected areas potentially. It just sort of depends on whether there's a sort of separate thing, say with a marriage partner or business partner, that's more about the money, and then there's what you do with your career, in which case they could be quite different. But to me, these are interesting. Like one of the things about speaking your truth is that you start a dialogue. When you start a dialogue, you've got to be open to hear the other person's viewpoint, at which point you may hear that there are other options. So whatever this is, I mean, and it may be that if you felt that you weren't able to speak your truth and you eventually get to this point and you go, that's it, that has actually stopped you considering the options. So I think one of the things to think about here, when you're alchemizing something, you normally have to deal with that which is unpleasant or bitter as well as that which is going to be positive. So I think there might be a connection between the truth about between the two. You need to speak your truth. You need to say what you need, but you also need to hear the other side of the story. So I think these are quite connected, actually. So let's see. Let's get a little bit more about what Metatron is saying to you, then a little bit more about what Zadkiel is saying to you, and then we'll see like how and if these synthesize. So a little bit more about Metatron's message. Knight of Swords, Seven of Pentacles reversed, Seven of Swords reversed, Judgment reversed, Queen of... Okay, this is very material, I've got to say. This is going to be a very material reading. What this is saying is that something's not growing. So if we're looking at money, investments and growth, and if we look at money and that kind of thing as an energy source, as something that might represent spiritual growth and other things like that and abundance on another level, something is not growing. We've got Seven of Pentacles reversed. Like there needs to be brought to the surface and dealing with something that is not growing, or something is not growing fast enough. That's the other way of looking at it, because the Knight of Swords wants to go fast and it's not growing fast enough. Seven of Swords reversed is it's time to get real. It's time to get real. Judgment reverse is you do have a little bit of time to make a decision about this. It's not like you've got to make a decision tomorrow about an investment, and if you don't, if it's not working, you need to sell right now and then you need to buy. And I'm not giving financial advice. I can't do that. I'm just talking very much in general energies. Judgment reverse, if it was judgment upright, I'd say this is something you have to sort out really quickly. With judgment reversed, you still need to kind of put the pedal to the metal, as they say, but you do have a little bit of time. But there is something that you've committed to, I think, that is not going to grow, is not good. So I think Metatron is just saying to you right now, somewhere where you have your money or investments or what you're doing to grow that, it's not growing. And you need to think about what else to do. And then I think that kind of makes sense with the alchemizing energy. There are other options. There are other things to do in your career or business or how you do this. So I do think they're connected. But whether it's that your career or business gives you a certain amount of discretionary income that you can then invest, and at the moment it's both, there could be better things to do, they get more to do that, but secondly, where you're investing it is maybe not the best place, or they're connected that really kind of opening the dialogue and looking at the options that will be led into the career and business area. That's where the alchemizing will happen. That's where the solution will happen. So let's have a look at what Zadkiel wants to say. Nine of Cups, Queen of Swords reversed, the Lovers, Six of Swords, Page of Pentacles reversed. Okay. So yeah, I actually think we're looking at problem solution. I think they're working together like that. I think that Metatron is saying you've kind of had an idea and maybe it had its time. It's not growing now. And then Zadkiel's going, if you stay rigidly with that, you can't transmute, you can't alchemize, you can't start to grow again. You've got stuck. So you've got to look at the options. So you've got to speak your truth. You've got to talk about it with someone. There is someone else involved in this. If you're coming to the right reading, I think, it's like a marriage partner or a business partner or something like that. There's something else involved. It could even be a boss. It could be that, you are ready now to move up the ladder, and you need to talk to the boss about it. You need to sort of say, what are my options? Because if you don't, it's kind of like people aren't even realizing that you want to grow and you want to build your career. So, but there's something about that. And Zadkiel is saying that can be resolved. It really can. Once you have the conversation, it can be resolved. It's just saying at the moment that you're kind of, instead of trying to transmute and move towards your dream, you're becoming critical of yourself. So Metatron and Zadkiel are saying, like, we're not saying you're doing anything wrong per se. In fact, probably what you've been doing is as good as you could do with that. But there are some other alternatives now, and it's like starting to talk about that and think about that and own that it's okay to care about growing your bank account or whatever. That's fine. That will help, because if you don't, then things gradually kind of fall apart. I mean, not to the point that you're likely to suddenly be destitute or whatever, but like, it's not just that the growth potential isn't there. It's kind of like even what you have could start to move backwards. So if you think about it as a investment in a stock or something, it's sort of like three things can happen with a stock. It can grow, which is fantastic. It can stay around about where it is, which is not great, but it's something. Or it can reduce if the stock goes down. So there is a little bit of a kind of it's not drastic, I don't think, and it's definitely solvable, but it is saying in whatever this is, you don't want your stocks to stall or go backwards. That's really all it is, whether the stocks are just you and what you could do with your career and how you present yourself, or whether it's something literal like a financial investment. So having the conversation, getting the information, being prepared to look at some hard truths, and then considering the best option. That's what they want you to do. So how does it synthesize for you? Eight of Cups, the Magician reversed, Two of Cups, Eight of Wands. Yeah, it's going back to that others have to be involved. The other thing that I was sort of getting just as I was shuffling is that it could, for some of you, depending upon the situation, be a very strong indication. A really great thing to do would be to get a good financial advisor, because it could be that kind of relationship of something. So you may not even know what the options are. Once you start to understand what the options are, it becomes a lot clearer and a lot better. So it could be something like that. So if you aren't in a marriage partnership where there's shared income, or a business partnership where that's the case, or it's not really a case where you'd be talking to your boss about growth at this point, it might be that some other like professional advice would be helpful. As I say, I can't give you financial advice. All I can say is the Archangels are saying to you, there's an opportunity to grow here. And if you don't take it, at best you stagnate. So it's sort of like you need to kind of start to focus on it and talk about it and get the options. So I think that's kind of there. I think it is saying that certainly it has to be discussed with the other. So whether it's, that you do need a really good financial advisor because you don't know enough about what you're dealing with to make a good decision yourself, or it could be that you can't just decide this without talking to your partner, business partner, or marriage partner, love partner, or whatever it is. It has to be brought out into the air, because there is relationship energy that's important here. Something needs to be moved away from, but that will free up the energy to move towards something that's more growthful. So it is a connection of the two. It's definitely saying these two things are connected. They're just slightly different things. Metatron's interested in you being honest about what you really want to do and how you see your material growth connecting to your spiritual growth and all of those things, and owning that and owning it proudly. Zadkiel then wants to get into solutions mode. He says there's something a bit stuck, there's something a bit limited, there's something that has a risk of stagnating or moving backwards, but there are options. But you have to have the conversation. You have to risk the kind of pushback or the issues that could happen with that. It will work out okay. There are other good options. You just need to look at it. So it's very material, this. It's very interesting. So let's have a look at the Everyday Oracle then, and also at the Straight Talking Tarot, because I saw this as bringing it to 3D, but this is a very 3D sort of reading, I have to say. So a couple of other energies around this on an everyday level, one from Metatron and one from Zadkiel. So from Metatron, payday. Yeah, it's like you're meant to do better. Like, this is really saying it could be just you need to talk to your boss about a raise. It could be that. And there could be like new things that you could do and expand your skill set or whatever. And when you have that conversation, it sorts itself out. But this is about, you're meant to have your payday. Metatron really wants you to know it's okay to care about this. It's not spiritual. And Zadkiel, lemons, yeah, like, the typical thing when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Also something fresh, something new, and something that can grow, something that is revitalizing. So it's like if one deals with the bitterness, one gets to the benefit. I think that's kind of the energy there. Let's also get the Straight Talking Tarot for just a couple of pieces of advice. This is not a tarot, as I often say, if people don't know the deck. It's just images and words, but it's very on point for the energy we're talking about. So a couple of other things around the payday and caring about this. Troubles. It's not, you can actually relieve a lot of troubles this way. And if you're worried about kind of, the sort of money and so forth, and worried about, what trouble could come, it's not going to be as bad as you think. It really isn't. And it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to have the conversation in whatever way it is. Now, obviously, if you're dealing with someone like a boss who makes these sort of decisions, you need to be, careful on how you say it. And you've got to pick the right timing, and you've got a little bit of latitude around the timing, but you do still need to be sort of honest about where it comes. And I think this is really saying you're ready for the increased pay or the more opportunity or whatever it is. And if it is around kind of, as I say, stocks or shares, then, it's like this is actually to move away from things that could have been a bad idea or could cause trouble. This is all meant to free you from that. What about lemons? Taking the bitter pill that is often alchemical to get to the benefit. It's not anything to be afraid of. Like they're saying, don't worry too much. This is not the tower didn't turn up. We haven't got imminent sort of like, because if the tower turned up around something like career and business or whatever, like you're probably thinking like either you're going to be made redundant or something really big's going to happen that's an issue. When we're like at something very material like that, it's not at that level at all. It's just stay focused. It's something you need to pay attention to now. Its time will shift as well. It's not meant to make you feel too concerned. So we're going to get you a couple of signs that you might see to let you know you're on the right track or that you're thinking about the right things or you've got it going. So I'm going to use the lucid dreams terror thing, which is the lucid dream sort of energy that's very natural, because I just wanted to get to nature for this. Which very much fits with kind of material stuff as well. So this could be things that turn up in your dreams. It could be things that turn up in a meditation. They could turn up synchronistically, or it could be just describing a feeling. But this is like to sort of show that you're connecting into Metatron and then to Zadkiel to actually follow their advice, that you've got things going and they're heading in the right direction. So for Metatron, red, love, passion, anger, aggression, forgiveness, redemption. It's interesting, there's a lot of reds in that payday. I think this is something you've got to be passionate about it. You've got to care about it, and it's got to be in service of something you're passionate about. And this is the other thing about money, as I say. It's like money, 3D things are not lower vibration or lesser. They are a form of energy to get towards what you're here to do, what your passions would be, and all that kind of thing. So I think that's the case. But, it could be that you're seeing red about something and you just need to bring it up, speak your truth and deal with something. If you're worried about money when we're in the red, I think when we're in the red, that's the difficult thing, isn't it? When you're in the black, it's okay. I'm actually not sure. If somebody knows in the comments, let us know. But I'm just trying to think of the various lateral things. You may see a lot of red colours around. People around you might wear red when it's a good time to have that conversation. Any of those things could be the case. And then in terms of Zadkiel, where the options will start to become clear. Butterfly, maturing, rebirth, transformation. Yeah, transformation. This will transform, this will transmute. The butterfly is a very strong alchemical sort of symbol in the sense that it represents exactly the process that you need to go through, because like in alchemy, the Negredo burns everything down for the new energy to rise up. And butterfly goes into a cocoon as a caterpillar. Every bit of the caterpillar kind of like breaks down to create the new thing that is the butterfly. So this has got a huge amount of potential for you, but you have to face that transmutation, that change point. Okay, so let's just get you a little bit of astrology to guide you before we finish up with a blessing. So we have Saturn in the first house, feeling limited in self-expression. Yeah, you've got to kind of work out what's stopping you from talking about this, work through that. You're actually, with Saturn there, you've actually got the goods, you have the discipline, you have you're realistic about things. So you've got to kind of like use that to make you feel confident rather than limit yourself. We have Scorpio rising, magnetic presence. Yeah, back yourself that when you actually start to have the conversation with whoever you need to have it, you're going to have the kind of intensity and focus that is necessary, the staying focused. And Sun in the 11th house, humanitarian. Okay, yeah, because this is the point. This all comes back round to how you use this for your spiritual growth. So, if you are doing something where your investments, your money or whatever, or your career grows, it allows you to get closer to a spiritual ideal. But you got to do that to be able to really, really manifest what you're meant to manifest. And you do have the self-discipline to do it, and you do have the presence to do it. So it's like everything is there, but there's just something, you've just got to course correct a bit. You've got to talk to the right people. You've got to get the right advice. Okay, so then we'll just finish up with a blessing that Metatron and Zadkiel are bringing to you around the advice today. A blessing to shield and safeguard you. Yeah, it's just meant to protect you. It's meant to protect your investments, really. I think Metatron and Zadkiel think you've got some pretty important things to do in the world, at whatever level it is, whether it's on the world stage through to just something in your local community or with your friends and family. You are meant to do something very spiritual. That's why these heavy hitters have turned up. But they're trying to protect you right now. They're trying to get you to focus on something you need to focus on. It's very material. And that you're meant to benefit from because it's the right time and you'll eventually use it in the right way. So I hope so I would actually take this as very, very positive, actually. I would take it as a pretty big blessing that once you focus on this, you're going to find lots of options that make your kind of career, business or monetary situation a lot better because you got stuff to do, pile one. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Azrael, and then the other archangel that wants to talk to you is Acatriel. And this is interesting. I suspect that, these could be two very different areas of life because part of the intention of this is that they may have two very different areas. And we will look at how they might synthesize even so in terms of like in your spiritual path, but we are going to look at each in turn. But Azrael is all about emotion being in the flow, creatively in the flow, emotionally in the flow, all of that kind of thing. So her message is going to be about something to do with your emotions, your heart, your creativity, or just getting into the flow, having things become more easeful in some area of your life. Acatriel, on the other hand, so she would make you feel really calm. Acatriel, on the other hand, is extremely powerful energy, called the voice of God. And usually if you do kind of, particularly if you're clairaudient or something like that, it's pretty obvious when he's talking to you. Apparently he's very clear and he's about sort of victory and glory and about going towards that which is just and righteous and so forth. It usually would be where you had a cause of some sort. It could be a personal cause. It doesn't have to be a kind of humanitarian or political or social cause, but it could be those things as well. So he's kind of stirs things up to bring clarity and justice and that kind of thing. And she kind of calms things down to get things in the flow. So they're an interesting pair of archangels to be working together because it's almost like she would be connecting to the right hemisphere of your brain and Acatriel would be connecting to the left hemisphere, just in very broad terms, or divine feminine, divine masculine, that kind of thing. So what I'm doing with this to try and see what the message is to first of all look at the area. So I'm using the Akashic Truth Oracle, which has 6 cards that are sort of separate from its general advice, which show the life area that's involved. And I thought that would be a useful thing to see what life areas the archangels want to talk to you about and then get some high-level advice. And then we'll go into it in more detail with tarot and some other oracle. So I decided to shuffle these because there's only 6, and like it could be that, there might be a life area that every single reading needs to cover. So I think the only way I can do it is to shuffle and deal that out in the reading. So that's why those were the only 2 at the beginning intuitively chosen. So what life area does Azrael want to talk to you about? Money and investments. Now, I can tell you that turned up in another reading. So this is why it was important. And what about Acatriel? Friends and family. Okay. So whether these 2 things are connected, they might be quite different, because this could be in your career and this could be more in your relationship life. The interesting thing about that to me, just on an intuitive level, is it's almost like a balancing thing. It's almost like they got together and went, okay, my normal thing is around relationships, but you know what, to really get the point across, Acatriel, you take that one. And then he went, yeah, well, I'd normally be talking about like very practical things, but yeah, you take that one because they need to kind of connect with their heart. So could be an interesting, they might have had a bit of a dialogue before bringing this through. Let's see a high level piece of advice around the life area of money and investments that Azrael wants to say to you. Self-doubt. Yeah, that's why it makes sense. It's career and money, or it's money and investments anyway, but it's about emotional things. You are questioning yourself and unable to move forward. Don't let fear hold you back. You have the strength and power to see it through. Now is the time to break free from limiting patterns. Yeah, because she's all about the flow, the emotional blocks that you might have around money and investments. Now, it's interesting that comes up, because I was actually saying in the other reading that came up that I've come across in some circles in spiritual community, not all, but in some, where there's a kind of almost inverse snobbery around anything that's material. Like somehow the 3D is lesser. So money, investments, career, any of those things, only a high order individuals wouldn't deal with that, and that, I personally think that's not true at all. I think all the elements are important. We're here for a reason. And you need that money and so forth as a kind of a energy. Our bodies are our vehicle. Like, they are not lesser. It's my personal belief. But as I say, sometimes people don't think, they think that like I can't focus on that because it's not spiritual. So there could be a bit of that. But I think it's also that maybe you doubt what you can do there, and you could be much more in the flow when you start to realize that you have more skill in that area than you think. Because you can always get advice on money and investments. There are professionals who can help with that. Let's have a look at what Acatriel, the high order message around friends and family, is. Professional assistance. That's really interesting, because like I was just saying, you can always get professional assistance. Okay. It may be time to speak or to seek wise counsel. This could be in any life area, from legal or financial advice to more personal needs such as counseling or therapy. Okay, it's going to depend on what we see in tarot here, because there is a possibility, there's a connection here. It could be that there is some delicate issue around money and investments that impacts on family, like a marriage partner or things within a family trust or something like that, or even that you could be thinking of going into some sort of investment with friends. And to do that and maintain, to be comfortable with what's happening and not doubt it, and to maintain the relationships, getting a third party that is a professional might be a very good thing to do. But whatever it is, it's interesting. Like what Acatriel is really saying is, whatever this area, whether it's about money or whether it's about some other issue, some sort of, like needing, marriage counseling or, some sort of dispute management, like if there was, and I do say that my guide will never put this in a reading unless it's already happened. So it never predicts a death, but if there has been a death in the family already, this could be showing how to best balance and deal with an inheritance, for instance. So it depends on whether it's connected. We're going to see a little bit more about it, which will give us a bit of an idea. So we're going to firstly with tarot ask for a little bit more from Azrael, and then we're going to ask for Acatriel, and then we're going to see if and how these messages may synthesize. So a little bit more about the self-doubt around money that Azrael wants to get you into the flow and feel more comfortable with. What's that all about? Ace of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, the Starr reversed, the World, Three of Pentacles. Okay. So this could connect. I'm just saying right from the start because it could be about friends or collaborators. Three of Pentacles is often that. It would suggest that whatever this issue is, the connection and material sort of input, collaboration or thoughts of others is important. And that's more like people who would be partners rather than like the professional advice. But, this is already saying like professional advice could be a good idea. There is something new in terms of money. There's a blessing here. The reason that this is coming in is because there's actually a blessing. But you may have been coming out of a feeling of lack. So a new opportunity, a new job, a new windfall of some sort, a new period of growth after feeling the exact opposite. You kind of got the warring energies that are operating at the moment, and that's where the self-doubt is coming from. And the other thing is that to take on whatever this is, you may feel that you aren't completing some sort of spiritual mission. So it's interesting. It's like the self-doubt could be around, will it actually materialize, because I've been feeling, the financial pinch. And so I'm not feeling very optimistic and hopeful. In which case that energy and the self-doubt may complete by other people coming on board and kind of like supporting what you're doing. So it could be that, but it could also be that to take this on, you may feel, am I walking away from something that I really thought was my destiny or what I was supposed to do? And again, it feels to me as though this is actually something, collaborating with others, that will take you to your Northern Star in a different way. But it's like a self-doubt. It's like, oh. So I think it's either, how do I sort of like find and take advantage of something that will turn around my financial fortunes without like, ending up feeling really real lack, or because you doubt yourself and you need other people's views. So I feel like this is other people's input, and I actually think that could be helpful. But nevertheless, there's that kind of energy. Or as I say, it might be that there's an opportunity coming along, and it's like, it's not self-doubt about whether you could make that grow. It's like whether you're leaving something else before it was finished that you were meant to do. So a very specific thing of that might be if you were in the middle of a project at work and you feel like it was something good to do, but really you weren't being paid well. And then you get offered this job that's going to pay you a lot better. And you sort of like, on one hand, you want to go and do it because obviously it's a sensible thing to do in terms of building your bank account or whatever. But on the other part, have I somehow not seen something through? So I think there's a kind of a balance around that, about the implications of how much it could grow and how much you might know that it can, and also whether or not you're somehow not selling out, but compromising some of what you're meant to do. But I think that, as Riel was saying, like this, you've limited yourself too much here. This is actually okay. This is meant to be a blessing. And you'll find others, and there'll be other ways of doing what your life path is. Let's see what Akatriel wants to say. Because as I say, this will tell us whether this is this, again, a lot of pentacle stuff and it's about money and about this issue, or is it about something that's more emotional or ego-driven or any of those things. So what else is Akatriel saying? Two of Pentacles. Yeah, I think they are connected. Devil reversed. No, yeah, it is. Wow, this is really interesting. Three of Swords, Five of Cups. This is only the second. I do them in order. So I've done pile one and now I'm doing pile two. I had expected, to be honest, that, when I'm doing the Archangels, I was going to do a lot of sort of stuff that was more around just pure spiritual, perhaps emotional stuff. It seems to be the Archangels want to talk about really material things at the moment. I wonder whether it's partly because I'm reading now, as Pluto's gone into Aquarius, so it's come out of Capricorn. So this could be kind of the wrap up things and how to kind of like stabilize your kind of almost Capricornian foundation to then be able to really take advantage of the future, forward, transpersonal, expansive energy of Aquarius. It might be that. Anyway, who knows? The angels will talk about what they want to talk about. So there is something here where choice is difficult, or there may be parts of this you have no choice about, and this might be partly where you have the self-doubt. There's a freedom you want from something, a freedom from dependency on others, I think. And I feel like he's almost saying that's necessary. So if you put these two things together, if there was, it's more likely, I would think, to be, like some sort of like family trust or something around friends that you might have had a collaboration with around something financially than it is around marriage. I don't necessarily feel like this is about an emotional split, but there is a split of some sort he's talking about. So it looks like to be able to go forward and do what you need to do. And you've got a personal relationship with these people. You're stopping the choice, but you need to liberate yourself. You need to liberate yourself from the dependency upon other people. A separation needs to happen. It won't be as painful as you think it's going to be, but it's a good idea to get some professional advice around it. So whether it's emotional professional advice, because even though it's sort of more around a material thing, and it could be as simple as like, your family think you should be doing some sort of career and you feel something else and you're now finally just saying no to follow my money and my destiny and what I want to do. I've got to move forward with what I want to do. But otherwise, it feels more like something material where funds are kind of caught up between you and some other people who you're close to on some level. So it makes it difficult, and that's why professional advice is a good idea. So let's have a look and see how they synthesize, because I think they do. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like this is like some sort of issue around marriage counselling or major conflicts between siblings or whatever. It seems to be about something material. So how they synthesize. 5 of Wands reversed, 8 of Wands reversed, Judgment, 6 of Swords reversed. Okay. So it's not going to tell us more really about how they synthesize, because it's going to be depend upon the person. But this is something, if you come to the right reading, there is some sort of financial issue that you need to cease having self-doubt about and make yourself more independent with. And like allow yourself to go with the flow of a kind of an independence urge. And it may rock the boat with friends or family. And if they are financially in some way connected, you really should get professional advice to be able to just make that fine. But what it is saying is that it's not going to be all that contentious. You may have to take your time with it because of that and get the advice. In fact, that's very good. But this is a calling. Like, you have to do this. You have to like kind of work out what you want to do more independently and start to back your own things, even if you don't know exactly where it's going. It's more that you have to be independent, that you know exactly what you want. And if this is an opportunity, you don't even know what it's going to grow into yet. But you have to be prepared to close off other options to allow yourself to explore it. Okay, so let's have a look at some other ways of looking at it. Let's have a look at it. I mean, I did think, as I say, this was going to be really spiritual. Now it's been quite 3D practical. But like I thought, well, I'll get the everyday oracle and the straight talking oracle to look at the 3D thing. But we've already got the 3D thing. Let's just see what else those oracles can tell us. So from Azrael's advice to you, toxic. Okay. There's something, and this is maybe, there's a risk associated with all of this, but it's also toxic to sit in self-doubt and to not speak and to not make decisions. It's like, it's not good. It's not good to stay in a feeling of lack because of a fear of being rejected or something. It's probably not going to go that way at all, but it could go toxic the longer you stay in the situation without making the changes to take on something new. So she wants you to think about that. It's like she's all about the waters and flow. I mean, the way this is pictured is the toxic fallout in the water. It's sort of like there's something about this that you really need to stem the tide of sort of now. And for Akatriel, tattoo, yeah, and stake your claim for who you want to be. The tattoo is really about you showing who you are and staking your claim to something and your identity in some way. So let's just get a couple of pieces of advice for each from the Straight Talking Tarot. So around not letting this stagnate and get toxic, and not letting the self-doubt create a toxic outcome around your financial resources. You may have to close off certain options. You can't be open to everyone. I mean, some of you, this could be that you're so generous that friends and family are always drawing on your resources and you feel like you can't say no. So, but that becomes a toxic situation. You could have a friend or family who's just one of those people and they're always wanting money, and you kind of might need to get professional advice about how to kind of break that off, because it's not going to get any better if you just let it happen. We also have get out. Yeah, there's something you've got to leave. There's something you've got to break away from. In terms of Akatriel saying claiming who you are and your identity and all that kind of thing, to get justice, because he's all about justice, the right thing. Retreat, yeah, pull back. They're saying it really clearly. And this is not meant to be a life lesson for you. You don't have to sit in it to watch the life lesson. This is like just much more a thing of like number one, it's like you just need to do something because something is not fair, not right, not working out, or it's not going to grow. It's like something like that. And yes, there are people that you care about, you're connected to, who are associated with this. At its worst, they are leeching off you, whether they mean to or not. But whatever it is, it's like you just need to move away from it. And it's not, you don't have to learn anything from this apart from believing in yourself. You can go to professional advice. You don't have to work it all out for yourself. That's the message. Okay, so let's see some signs from the Lucid Dream Terror deck, and that's terror as in Terra, as in terra firma, not terror as in being frightened. So this is just to get to the nature of things. I felt that would be the good deck to use here. So this could be things you see in dreams, meditations. You could hear song lyrics about it. You could see people wearing clothes of a particular color or with a particular picture on it. Anything like that, or it could just be the feelings that it's talking about. But this is just, signs that the archangels could send you, that you are either it's time to really focus on this, or that you've started focusing on it, and it's good, and they're wanting to sort of give you props for it. So, Akatriel, legumes, seeds, potential. Yeah, because this is all about, there's great potential in this. That Ace of Pentacles is like that. So manifesting, like you could dream about seeing that. You could go past a market and see those sort of things out there. This could turn up in meditations, or it could just be the feeling that now you have the potential. Now, it's interesting, we've got marriage in there as well too. It could be, interestingly enough, that although it's kind of saying for most people here that there's some sort of thing where you've got to detach from something to let something else come in that will work for you, it is possible that for some of you it might be almost the inverse. It might be that what's happening here is that you're looking at getting married or something like that, and suddenly there's all these provisions around money put around it. And then you have to get advice about, like, are you being limited too much, or is something, if you're rich and people, don't want a prenup, or if they're well off and they want one from you or something. It could be something like that as well. There's something personal associated with this that makes it complicated, but that's only going to be for a very small number of people, but it's almost more like how you decide whether to go into a new connection that has financial and emotional connections might be what this is talking about for some of you, as opposed to moving away from something. And then signs from Akatriel. Bird, message, news, happiness, prosperity, flight, freedom. Well, one, you're going to feel a lot freer, but I think, messages, news from, if you're getting professional advice, just paying attention to what you're hearing. And this feels like the freedom is possible. And it's interesting, it's a bird and you've got the eagle behind him, this sort of sense of flight and getting that bird's eye view of things, understanding things at a higher level. Okay, so let's get you some astrology to help you as well, because this is a bit of a tricky one, I have to say, pile 2. Firstly, we have, this is interesting, this turned up for one of the others. For some of you, there could be a connection between the two readings that I've done so far. Sun in the 11th house, humanitarian. You are someone who is very caring and gives. And that, generally speaking, is good, but it creates a little bit of a weak point for you, or a vulnerable point where people could exploit. So it might be just really getting that into perspective, because you really do want to do something a bit bigger for the world. Then we have Uranus in the 9th house, crisis of personal belief systems. Yeah, it's like, I do think there's something also in this, I was saying at the beginning, where it's kind of like whether you're swapping a job or changing some sort of material thing, and it's impacting things, because I do think they're connected around close personal relationships. It could be like you're thinking, like, am I actually no longer being true to my beliefs? But this is saying this is fine. You are. It's actually the way that you protect those beliefs in the longer term. And we have Mercury in the third house, wordsmith. You'll be able to have the conversations that you need. You'll be able to communicate this in a way that makes it work. That's why it won't be as difficult as you half expect it to be. But it is important to be clear on that and to be honest on that and to get the right sort of intellectual advice if necessary, depending upon the nature of it. Okay, so wanted to finish this up with a blessing, so a blessing that the two archangels are bringing you. And I think in this situation, you probably do need a blessing because it's like, I'm sure you'll be fine, but it looks like a bit of a tricky situation. A blessing on a homecoming. Okay, I think it's mainly going to be somehow connected to family or very close personal relationships. It will work out, pile two. It will work out, but you do have to get the advice and not doubt yourself if you're feeling something needs to shift or change. You have the ability to deal with this and you're not doing anything that's out of whack with what your greater spiritual purpose is, but you have to almost take back control of the financial reins, I think, in some way. So I hope that resonates. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Tahariel, and then what we also have is Mirabiel. It's an interesting combination of archangels. Tahariel, I often think, has a kind of a message or a purpose because of the way it is depicted in this card. But Tahariel overall is sort of like a rainbow angel. It is the sense of all things, all races, all beliefs, all creeds, all doctrines, all colours, all genders, all everything really. It's kind of the rainbow energy. It's the energy of inclusivity. It's the energy of acceptance of all of that, and in fact, seeing the value in all of that. So there's something, Tahariel is coming to you with some sort of message in that about, I guess, the variety and glory of who you are. And, I often sort of say, well, Whitman says, I contain multitudes. It's kind of that energy a bit. So there could be something about that in you. But the way that it is also portrayed in this particular deck is it's showing a representative of a prophesied tribe that comes when the earth most needs it, to bring that kind of diversity and connectedness and inclusivity and to lead out on that kind of level. So it's very beautiful. I think it's a Native American belief, but it's a beautiful idea. So there could be something here about connection to others and a diversity of input into something as the message that is being, something about something like that is potentially the message that Tahariel would bring. Mirabiel, it's interesting because they're both kind of about very visual things. I wouldn't mind betting actually that most of the people who come to this, it's a bit of an indication you're highly clairvoyant and highly visual in your spiritual abilities, just as an aside, because you have all the colours of the rainbow here. And then with Mirabiel, we have the kind of glitter ball kind of concept, the sort of reflective light, the divine feminine is very strong here, the sense of wisdom of the divine feminine, of water, of flow, of that kind of connection, but also the kind of beauty of, how the reflected light, the moon energy and so forth operates. So I think that this is something to do with your own personal beauty and your own personal frequency, almost within a diversity of frequencies. And I think it's probably saying that with Mirabiel coming here, that one of the things for you is around the divine feminine, a very strong energy around that. And I also think with the connection to the moon, to me, that also it's like Mirabiel connects to the Archangel Gabriel and to prophecy and to clairvoyance and all that kind of thing. So I do think there's this very visual kind of sense of spiritual gifts or whatever. But what we're going to do with this is I'm using the Akashic Records deck because it has, within its structure, it has 6 cards that show life areas. And so I'm going to shuffle and get a life area for each to see what they want to talk about. It could be connected, it could be very different. And we'll also then use the main part of the Akashic Records deck to get a high level piece of advice before we drill into it in more detail. And I deliberately did not put it under these because there's only 6 cards of the life areas. So if I did that, if the archangels across 2 readings wanted to talk about the same life area, we'd have a problem because it would already have been used up in another. So that's why I only kind of intuitively chose these to start with. So let's see what life area Taharia wants to talk to you about. Friends and family. That kind of makes sense with the energy of that, your connection, like probably both who is your natural friends and family, who's your soul tribe, who's your ancestors, all of that kind of thing. It makes sense that Taharia would want to talk about that. And what does Mirabiel want to focus on? Romance and partnership. This is maybe why the divine feminine is so important. And that doesn't matter what your gender is or you identify with. It's just that kind of energy. So these could be connected. It could be that from the sort of like the community of friends and family, something is coming. Or it could be that you are introducing someone into the friends and family through romance. Or they could be separate. So let's first of all see what the high level advice on each is. So what does Taharia want to say to you about, as just a high level piece of advice around friends and family? Trust in yourself. You've got this. You've worked hard to get this far and you have the ability to create the things you desire. Learning to trust in yourself and your abilities will take you to your highest timeline. So there may be something where you are now ready to be a bit different to what your friends and family expect of you. Or it may be that you are finding a different tribe, a different group who are more like you. Or it could be that what is very different in you, given the nature of Tahari or being the rainbow archangel, could be so different, and that's actually what your strength is. But there's something here about you within your closer social circles, trusting in yourself and trusting in what you bring to the table, I think. Then in terms of, and if it is about bringing love into there or finding love through that, trust in yourself. You're ready. You've done the work you need to do to be able to let that in. What does Mirabiel want to say about romance and partnership? Enabling. There is someone you're helping, or are you? In reality, you may be enabling them to continue to negative patterns and never take full responsibility for themselves. Step back and let things play out. Okay, so these could be connected or they could be very different, actually. Because this seems to be saying that within your friends, family, soul tribe, whatever it is, you found your place and you found who you are and you're meant to be who you are. Whereas over here, maybe in terms of romance or partnership, and look, partnership could be business partnership or something like that as well too. So it could go either way. But it's more often than not about kind of romantic partnership. You may have someone who is leaning on your strength. And I think you've got to think about, are they able to reach the level of what is different about them, make them part of what you want to be in this sort of thriving community, this thriving network, or are you just kind of supporting them with your strength? And so if there's a thing here where it's like friends or family are pushing back on this, it may be because they're sensing that. So you've got to kind of really go within, trust in your own strength, and then make that decision. So it is possible that they're connected, but they may not be at all. It might be that you found your place in your home, but you have someone around you, most likely a romantic sort of partner or would-be romantic partner, but otherwise just someone who's close to you, very close friend who relies on you, that maybe you're sort of supporting more than you should. And that makes it interesting, the reflection back. It could be that they are kind of in the reflected light of your strength and that's not helping them. So it'll be interesting to see what we get as information on each, because we're going to move to tarot. And we're going to, first of all, get a little bit more on what Tahariel says, and then we're going to hear from Mirabiel. Then we're going to see if and how these synthesize. So a little bit more about what Tahariel wants you to know and hear about your unique identity within a broader social, family, relationship tribe, I think. 5 of Swords, Strength reversed, Page of Wands, 10 of Wands, the Moon reversed. Okay, I think this is saying it's connected. The Moon coming up reversed. I think it is connected. So Tahariel is saying, look, you're really strong. You're very individual. You've found your people in general. And you are very open to difference. And maybe not everybody in your group is, but you are. But you might at the moment be pushing towards something that you're kind of enabling someone else. And like it's drowning some of your energy. It's giving a burden that you need. It's stopping you from coming into your full colors, so to speak. So you've got to bring that up to the surface and decide whether you continue with that. And so I think Tahariel's saying, look, there's someone, whether it's a lover or a friend or whatever it is, they're kind of a hanger-on, but it could be okay. It could be, and this is where you've got to trust yourself, that if you can actually stop enabling them and they kind of get their act together, like you help them get to something that would get their act together, make them not kind of rely on you too much, that they may prove themselves to be fine, and to be strong enough, to not just need to lean on you or not to kind of like live off the reflected light of you, which is what I think is happening. So it's not that the answer is you can't, but the answer is you have to look at it because otherwise, coming from a very big heart or from somebody that you kind of love, but they could be potentially in the long term a real drain on you and not able to assimilate into things because they're kind of using you, even if they're not meaning to. Like, this doesn't mean it has to be deliberate, but if they're not at that level, then they're kind of not in your tribe in a way. So I think you have to look at that. They want you to look at that, but they're saying you can decide. Don't listen just to your friends or family. Like, they will have particular views, and I suspect most of them will be pretty negative about this person. Be fair about it, but equally, you can listen as much as like you hear what they have to say, but you've got to make the decision is what I mean. Don't let your friends or family make the decision for you or exclude someone, but equally don't feel that you have to tenaciously hold on to it just to prove your friends and family wrong. Like, it's that kind of energy. So let's see what's happening with Mirabelle. The Tower. Well, yeah, there's a breakthrough energy here. There's a lot of courage that's necessary to look at this, to be honest. Nine of Pentacles reversed. Eight of Wands reversed. Yeah, it's most likely to be a love relationship. I mean, like, lovers can be any type of relationship, but it's a two-person relationship issue that's going on here. There's a few things that could be happening. Firstly, with the Tower turning up, this could be one of those really intense relationships that have a really strong connection. Like people feel it's a twin soul or a twin flame or something like that. What is normally the case, though, with the Tower is that both are equally vulnerable to the other. And what tends to be the block is that like both are really scared and vulnerable to do anything. I don't think that's happening with you. You're brave. In the midst of this, you're brave. So it's almost like if you felt that, you'd have made the move, you'd have like tried to include them because you're very inclusive anyway. And it's a very intense connection. But it's also, Mirabelle is asking you to think about that because you are strong. Like, to what degree are you bringing this person in because they are, like you have some sort of like soul thing to heal or connect or whatever, or, whatever. And how much of it is that you just don't want to be alone? Like, are you within a group very much accepted, but you're on your own? And so this person is like your partner. Like, there is something to think about that. It's like, is your strength, is that what you're getting from this? And is that enough, sort of thing? It says she's saying you don't have to rush into a decision around this. And there is something between you and this person. It's not that there isn't. But either you or the person may be in this relationship just not to be alone. And it may be a bit of both. And it takes a lot of courage to kind of like slow it down and look at it properly and decide. I don't think that either are saying to you definitively this is the wrong relationship to be in. I don't think that's definitively happening, but I do think it's asking you to look at it. So interesting. So let's see how it synthesizes. Two of Cups reversed. Yeah, it's about, is this the right partnership or not? Judgment. It's a powerful connection, though, I've got to say. Ace of Swords reversed. Five of Cups reversed. Okay, some of the things that are complicating this and why you do have to trust yourself but you also have to be very disciplined about what you do with this. It is a question, is this the right thing? But it feels, with the Tower and Judgment, it feels like it's like, this is fate, this is destiny. And there may well be something karmic associated with it. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to just put up with any kind of behavior and, kind of have somebody almost feeding off you because of some past relationship or karmic thing. It really does need to be equal. This is meant to be like the equality, that different but equal energy. So, that is definitely something to think about, but it's a powerful energy. And I think that what this is saying is why you have to make this decision yourself, even if you listen to other people's ideas, and it's not telling you whether it's the right or wrong person, but it is saying if it is the right person, something has to shift, because at the moment they're kind of living off you, your reflected glory, your power. They need to be brought into their own power. The reason you have to make the decision is that there's a point at which you didn't connect with somebody different or whatever. You didn't follow a different idea, a different type of relationship, and you still regret it. So this is like, you have to trust yourself. You have gone through this enough to be clear. But it's going to depend on who comes to this reading as to how it should play out. Wow, okay. So let's have a look at any other kind of everyday energy around this, about how it's playing out. So from Tahariel's, you've got this, and you are with the right friends, family, and all that kind of thing. You're with the right tribe. So if they have an issue with it, you've either got to be able to look at this enough, trust it enough, and be able to convince them. And if you really believe that when you go through looking at it objectively, you will be right and you'll be able to convince them. So, you've got what you need, but you've got to face up to it. So some everyday energy around that. Wow, pregnant. Okay. So, for some of you, it might already have progressed a fair way, which makes it more complicated again. But it doesn't have to be literally that. It could just be, this is a new possibility, but what is it going to grow into? And you have to think about that. Is it going to fit in with the family? What about from Mirabelle? The sea. Okay, and she's connected to the water. This is big. It's like they're saying to you, this is not a sort of small level emotional connection. There's a lot to this. It's like, but you can have an incredible connection with somebody, karmic, soul twin, but if they are kind of all over the shop and they are broken or they have addictions or whatever it might be, I'm thinking of various sort of things, and they won't heal themselves, then it's like you can't do it for them. Let's see the advice from the Straight Talking Tarot around what Tahariel wants to say about the potential here, but about the real, you really have to be clear on whether this person fits in with the group and the principles and the ideals and all of that sort of stuff. Stay on the trail. So it's saying, look at it clearly. Don't just suddenly walk away. Look on it clearly, but also stay on the trail of your greater calling. And lies. Be aware that there could be lies. Look out for lies. Actually, that might be the way you find out. If this person lies to you, if they say they're going to do one thing and they do something else, that could be a point to know. Like, look for evidence so you really know. What about the sea? Dealing with the depth of emotion we're talking about in this situation. Believe. Okay. I think it's believe in yourself and believe in your ideals. But I think there is another message to this, which is, I say, is that it doesn't necessarily mean if you in the end decided this person is not, I can't be with this person at the moment, it's not going to work. It's not that it wasn't a profound connection. It's just that person needs to do a bunch of work and you can't do it for them. So it's not that you got that wrong in being drawn to them. It's just that right now it's sort of like it's not going to work. And yeah, don't allow it to depress you and don't feel guilty about it. Wow. The readings in this particular group have been pretty full on. Let's have a look at some signs that could help you know you're on the right track. So this could be things that turn up in synchronicities, in dreams, in meditation, in shamanic journeying. They could also just be song lyrics that you hear. They could be something that comes up on a video or an ad you see, or it could just be a feeling that you have. So to know that you are kind of really staying true to your tribe, but you are looking at this with as open a mind as possible and trusting your instincts. A sign around that is orange: warmth, joy, excitement, vitality, energy, creativity. Yeah, you are warm. It's a very warm palette with all the colors. It's sort of like, and what you're doing, it's like you're not being cold to this person. You're not doing anything wrong. So I think when you feel warmth and you feel connection overall with what you're doing and with your spiritual purpose and all that sort of stuff, that's a good sign that you've got the right balance to look at this. And then dealing with the emotion. I'm actually feeling it, to be honest. It feels really full on. Rabbit: swift, trickster, fertility, prosperity, love, lust, luck. I mean, for some of you, if it works out, you could start a family, bring them into the family. It's not saying it can't, but it is saying that something has to rebalance, because at the moment the partner does need to start to kind of find their own spine and so forth. But, the white rabbit, follow the white rabbits, kind of like, this could be, it's so intense and so strange and so drawing, but it can draw you into something like drawing you into Wonderland, which is not necessarily an easy thing to navigate. So I think you need clarity. You always need clarity as well. Okay, let's get you some astrology to help. So firstly, we have Uranus in the third house, a catalyst to ignite a change in perspective. Boy, yeah, this relationship, or the way that your friends, family, tribe are responding, or even you realizing that this reflected energy is going on, it's like it's meant to get you to look at this in different perspectives. I also think, interestingly, if part of your destiny is to create an environment of inclusivity and diversity in some way, then really assessing this in a fair level does that. Because if you come out and go, I'm backing myself, this person is right, they've got a little bit of work to do, but I can help them with that and I can put the boundaries around it and they're going to be fine, it proves, it's like, no, the door is not shut to someone just because they're different. Equally, if you do all of that and you love them and you care about them, but at the end of the day, they do need to separate out because it's the only way they're going to develop, then that is also done with love. Then we have Mars in the 10th house, great achiever. Yeah, you've got big things to do. So you do have to bear that in mind. And that might be also a thing that could sort of trip you up if you feel like you have to be successful at everything and this is the big love and you have to be successful at that. But if you are a great achiever, you could be drawing in someone who is not and who is reflecting your glory as well. So you just need to be aware of that. And we have Sun in the 4th house, heritage. Yeah, what is your soul family? What is your tribe? What is the heritage you want to create as well, pole 3? Okay, to finish off, I just want to get a blessing. And in all these readings, I've kind of needed the blessing because they've all been about challenges to look at various levels. So what is the blessing that the Archangels are bringing you with this set of messages today, pole 3? A blessing for solace and hope. Okay. This is like, don't despair about this. Like, what I sort of feel is, I think this is a really intense relationship, which is karmic. But it's like, if it can't work out right now, it could later in life or it could in another life. The actual bond doesn't break. But this person, at the moment, it would not actually help them at all. Unless you can find a way to get them to help themselves and then find their own strength without just reflecting on your energy. It would actually be an unkindness to do it and an unloving act to do it. So, but it doesn't mean it can't be resolved later. So whether it's in this life or another one. So don't despair of it. And it could, for some of you, it could work out that it is okay. The person does realize they're ready to do the work and they do the work and it all works out. But if it doesn't, it's not your fault and it's not that you were wrong to love them. So I hope that it might be that that's the only way they can love you at the moment. It's not that they don't love you, but that's all they're capable of at this point. Like, understanding that, I think, is really profound. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.